How's it going, everybody? In today's video we are going to create the car for the MARSHAL. I have this 1:35 scale car which I found on Temu. It even has this cool pullback mechanism which is awesome. I was able to keep it by the end of this video. So yeah, first thing first, we are going to use some sandpaper to rough it up a little bit to remove the markings and so the paint can stick better to it by the end of the video. I also decided to sandpaper the windshield because I will be painting that black with a little bit of brown because I think it just looks better that way. And while I was sanding it up, I created a lot of mess, so I needed to clean it up. I will be using this model from Dragon to upgrade my car to make it more into the Dead Meridian world lookalike. It has this name, the name of the model, I can't even pronounce what it is, but I saw this gun and it was really interesting one. I also saw this part over here which looked very interesting, and while I was taking those off, I also find the third part which kind of looked cool. I had idea for it, so I decided to clip it off. I had a really dull blade on the X-Acto knife, so I've decided to change it before I start working with it, in hopes I will not massacre myself. With the new blade ready and set up, I started to chop off the extra sprue pieces, and I did some modifications on the gun because I wanted to really fit it in a certain way, and some of these parts were bothering me because I even removed the handle of the gun itself, because you will see in a second I dry fitted it to see how it fits, because this other part kind of looked like a sort of like a futuristic weapon magazine that can be loaded from the inside of the car. So I mounted it on the driver's side and I put the gun over there, and the last part that I showed you I put over the gun, kind of hold it in place. And I saw also these parts. First I thought of them as kind of shields for the windshield or for the sides, but then I decided to do something completely different with them, and I got two of these. And what I did with them is I glued them to the front of the car. To give it a little bit more interest, I added a few of the pieces that I found on the sprue, and I also added this one, so I give it a little bit like off-center look because everything don't has to be symmetrical. While looking at the sprue, I also find this hammer and pickaxe, which I found really interesting, and I kind of dry fitted it on the back of the car to see if they fit over there. Kind of felt like it would be a nice thing to add to the car, and after putting them in correct position, I just glue them back together. The right side of the car felt a little bit empty, so I decided to add a few things over there, and then it crossed my mind it needs to have some EMP weapon, you know, charging something. So I had this styrene rod, I had some of this guitar wire, and I just chopped off the styrene rod in halves, and after a lot of mendling and a lot of glue, I glued the wire to this part that I also find on the sprue, and I put it on top of the car, so it's going to be like an electricity gathering thingy. And after a lot of mendling around and having a lot of fight with this wire, I managed to like put it in front of the car to connect it, so it kind of power ups the EMP in front. And I also use this one, a Combat Patrol Warhammer from Tau Empire, which my friend gave me because this was his leftover, and I got this part over here which I find really nice and cool to fit on top of it. So it's kind of like a little computer that's collecting electricity from the surrounding area and charging the EMP. And the last thing that I wanted to make is the back of the windshield. I wanted to like protect it with something, so I kind of used some of this tape and just to transfer it back on the clear plastic sheet card and just cut it in the shape of it. And then I also decided to rough it up a little bit so it can kind of, the paint later can adhere a little bit better. I also took out a lot of my little bedazzle thingies. I applied some PVA glue on the back of it, and it created a little bit of texture at the end, which I really like. And then I just started bedazzling the car. And the last thing that we need to do is just paint it black. and now that we have spray painted it, I decided to keep the lights of the police car on top of it, because I'm gonna just kind of muddy them a little bit by the end of it. And while I'm painting this one, I am going to tell you a story about the Marshal. He joined police because it was stable work in an unstable age. A uniform meant access to the system, access to the roads that never slept, to automated convoys that never stopped, to a world where everything ran on prediction and algorithm. People didn't fear crime back then. They feared being unrouted. Then came the black static, and when its system died, everything it had been holding down broke at once. The badge stopped being authority. It became either a target or a weapon. The Marshal chose neither. He left last functioning control hub during the early collapse. He didn't steal, didn't join the corporate militias, didn't attach himself to any new order trying to rise from the wreck. He just took out his old wristwatch, he wound it up and wrote something in his small notebook, and he just left. In the Dead Meridian, people eventually learned his name. Not as officer, not as a protector, not as an outlaw, just the Marshal. The Marshal is obsessed with rules, not the old laws, those died with the governments, but his own, curfews, trade records, agreements, boundaries. He remembers every promise and every debt. Some settlements call him a remnant of law, others call him a threat that never accepted the world ended, but he never saw himself as either good or bad. Because in his mind, the world didn't end in fire or war. It ended the moment routine was gone. And everything after that is just what a man does when there is no system left to argue with. And that is it. Thank you for watching, and until next time.